Ready, fight.
In the bottom left, in the red, the non-Korean hope. He is
NC Sports, SERRAL.
Ooh, big cheers here in the audience for SERRAL. No surprise there.
And probably for this guy as well on the top left, the blue Korean Terran contender for the greatest of all time. This is
O Gaming TV, Innovation.
The crowd is electric. You can feel it in the air. The humidity outside is kind of getting dwarfed here by like the electricity that is within the walls of this studio.
By the way, it has been so hot in Korea for the past little while. This is exactly why Korea makes such great gamers, is you do not want to be outside right now.
Yeah.
So for all you guys here in the studio, we are very happy to have you down here. And what a special match. What a really important match for this tournament. I mean, we have these two narratives going on, right? In Korea, it just seems like Maru can't be stopped no matter what. And outside of Korea, SERRAL is winning everything.
Well,
and so the question is, what happens when you bring SERRAL? You make him face off against a bunch of GSL players here in Korea. And we're starting to see that unfold, and this is the first major. I love that. I love that picture.
Oh, zombie grub. Oh, you.
But we're finally going to see, okay, what happens if we bring SERRAL to the GSL studio and make him play against one of the most accomplished GSL players, Innovation.
You said this is a big moment for this tournament. This is a big moment for StarCraft, Tasteless.
Yes.
And that's not hyperbole. We have got the hottest ticket out of WCS.
Yes.
More dominant than Neeb was last year.
Yes.
Completely crushing the circuit in blinding fashion. His map scores at the end of WCS are disgusting. I want to throw up in my mouth at how good he is. But he is up against this guy. He's basically the gatekeeper. If he can beat Innovation, then the WCS fans out there are going to start to believe.
That's right. Some say Innovation is the hardest boss in Dark Souls. So we're gonna see how SERRAL does against him here now.
Wow.
Okay,
nice control on those Lings, by the way. Not losing any of them there to that Reaper.
Basically perfect so far here. The Innovation getting a command center now, teching up with the factory and the tech lab. We don't have too much else to remark on. We're still waiting to see what direction these two players want to take this game. SERRAL is taking to third base, hugging the bottom center of the map. Kind of a cool map to start this off on with these two players, since there's a lot of different ways to approach this map structurally.
I feel like I don't remember the last time I saw a Zerg play on this map and not get a Roach Warren. So far, SERRAL is just relying here on the Lings. Neither player has gone for the Fool's Gold, the one that's in the pocket natural there.
Yeah.
They're just sort of, taking the more quote-unquote regular expansion path here. Innovation heading towards Bio, getting Stim, all pretty regular stuff from him, and same deal from SERRAL on top of that creep spread, on top of everything as we all expected. We're not really into the meat and potatoes of this game just yet. Just early game scouting and Innovation rounding out his 1-1-1.
Yeah, I mean, all we can really say at this point in time is that nobody's done anything really crazy to start this off in a ZvT. And I do feel like with these two players, they're probably so confident in a standard game. I don't see what would incentivize one of the two players who have done anything out of the ordinary or tried to do some kind of a crazy rush.
And we are seeing that Roach Warren eventually from SERRAL. No surprises there. This map has just really had a lot of popularity for Zergs to go for the Roach Ravager composition. Now, this could just be for early game Roaches and transition into melee after that. He does have link speed, of course, so that's, it could work out for him. But this is SERRAL, and I know that this guy loves his Roach Ravager Hydra. He's pretty damn good at it. So, kind of expecting that here. Innovation looking like he's going to wall off with the NG bays here. SERRAL's getting in there, though. He's going to do a little bit of damage.
Okay, not bad at all. I mean, any little victory you can have. Is he going to get a denial here on this engineering
I don't think
bay?
so.
Yep, looks like the Lings are going to come back. We'll end up trapping that Reaper. Now,
dude,
it's not a lot, but it's something, right? SERRAL with a very small victory.
And the crowd was actually going nuts for that one Reaper getting surrounded. That's giving you guys an idea of how badly a lot of these people want SERRAL to win. He comes back here, and that's hurt Depot getting damaged a little bit here. Just trying to pick up another SCV. Doesn't quite get it, though. The build path of that SCV kind of putting him up the other side there into the natural where he's safe. Plenty of Roaches in the main here for SERRAL, so this drop from Innovation doesn't look like it's going to do a whole lot.
Okay, so the initial two medevacs are out along with the Marines here. We're going to see Innovation try to move around here and do damage wherever he can, take out creep tumors. In this case, Roaches are already here, and it's not wise for Innovation to stay in that location any longer. So he's going to pick up and try to rotate over here to the right.
Yeah, and there is a third base here that's rather naked. There's not too many drones here, but there is a lot of damage. That's where SERRAL's putting his upgrades as well. Both the double Evo chambers going down here, or the double Evo chambers going down here. Sorry, that was a redundancy, Tasteless. That's bad English. Shame on me. Scans coming on. It's going to get an Overlord and also a couple creep tuners. It's a nice little bit of damage, just as long as he's not losing any Marines. I like it from Innovation.
Yeah, Innovation is so incredibly good at this. And this is about as standard of an approach to a TVZ as you can have here from Innovation. And Innovation, you know, he's a great player. It's kind of funny because he's named Innovation, but really I think he's got the most textbook Terran you could ask for. I mean, when people study Terran to get better, Innovation is one of the players you always want to look at because he can do the same thing over and over and make it work.
Certainly the case. It's one of those things that's brought up every now and then with when you see Innovation, that he's not really too much of an innovator. Of course, you know, people usually bring up Gumiho as a guy that creates a lot of the new metas. Yeah. A meta creator, if you will. But Innovation does have, you know, his own ideas and his own plays every now and then. He comes up with his own stuff, and he is a bit more of an innovator these days. I'm liking the timing in this army, by the way, really on top of his upgrades. His upgrades are going to be well and truly ahead of SERRAL's for this game. But SERRAL is going to, hopefully, if he's playing this correctly, a lot more army supply here versus Innovation is generally how the Roach army works versus Terran. You're going to have a lot more of it than the Terran does. And that's Overlord spotting this double drop here of Innovation. He doesn't drop out any Marines to pick it off. He's just happy to be scouted or wasn't watching the minimap, probably the latter.
So we have those medevacs coming out now. Some Roaches coming up over here for SERRAL. And by the way, SERRAL's creep spread has actually been pretty damn good in spite of the Marines coming out and continuing to try to take out this creep. The actual reach of the creep spread is enough that I think if I was SERRAL, I'd be pretty confident. I actually can't believe this. Is he going to get this upgrade?
Yes, he will. He got +1 attack there. That's actually massive, Tasteless.
And he's not even done. He's going to go for the armor here.
And I think he might get it. That tank is a little bit far back. Those SCVs been on repair. SERRAL hitting the gold base as well. He's on top of the SCVs of that gold base. And he did stop +2 armor. Lovely pick off there for SERRAL. Now that upgrade lead we were talking about, gone. Just like that.
I'm totally caught off guard by the fact that that's how that went down. I mean, he just ran up there with the Roaches. You know, it's not advisable to have, you know, upgrades coming out right there, but we rarely see it actually punished. Now we have a ton of Ravagers, a ton of Roaches. He's going to come up. He's going right by the naked command center instead. Dude. He's going to hit here and try to take out these tanks.
There are 3 tanks, but there are so many Roaches and Ravagers, Tasteless. He's piling down those tanks and pressing the issue here. The SCVs are being pulled out of the natural here for Innovation. Can he hold on? The Roach meat shield is gone now, and these sort of squishy, chewy Ravagers are a little bit easier to take out, but 21 SCVs have died. Innovation on the other side of the map, though. I don't think he can do similar damage. There's a little bit at home here for SERRAL.
Well, hold on. I mean, he's actually taking out these Roaches. The drones are not really that defended. It's been 21 SCVs killed back at home. The drop is still there with enough to sustain, but as these Roaches come down, they begin to force the Terran to pull out. And I got to say, even though that attack from SERRAL didn't kill off Innovation, it certainly kept Innovation back. Innovation's supply dropped, he lost a lot of workers, and he's way behind in upgrades from that initial attack.
Certainly, SERRAL is nearly double the worker count here of Innovation, and on 4 bases, heading towards a 5th, where there's Innovation is just trying to saturate his 3rd still. He's taken so much damage economically, and we know that SERRAL, when he has an economic lead, I just don't remember him ever losing a game.
It's kind of crazy that he got a lead like this in such a straightforward fashion. I wonder if in so many other games, Innovation doesn't get attacked like that because he's already known for being so solid all around that, you know, players don't just make a couple of Roaches and try to run up there and take out the engineering bays.
He did seem to get caught with his pants down a little bit, but I feel like it's not the first time I've seen a Terran like drop engineering bays as part of their wall and get punished for it by a Zerg that's really intelligent. It is such a, you know, an important part of your infrastructure of Terran is it's in your wall. Like it's as easy as pie for the Zerg to come up there with a bunch of Ravagers and bile it down if you just don't have enough tanks.
That's right.
The 2-2 upgrades from Innovation were heavily slowed down, but they are still going to finish, and they are going to be ahead of SERRAL's. And he is switching things up here, getting melee build, and heading into Banelinks. Now, that's going to help him out a lot against this bio, Tasteless. I'm sure you'll agree.
Oh, I absolutely would agree with that. So, finally, we're going to get these upgrades done here for Terran. Now, this 3rd base from Innovation is pretty exposed. SERRAL's at the point in time he can't make any more attacking units until he actually comes in for a fight. So this would probably be an ideal time as these melee attacks finish up to come in here. But he sees an opening. He runs in again. The SCVs are not defended.
Front door's open here, and that means that Innovation has to pull some forces from the third, which leaves an opening for SERRAL to come and attack the third as well. These Roaches are continuing to barrel into the main base, but at the third base, SERRAL comes down with a bunch of Roaches and Ravagers piling down on those tanks. Doesn't quite have enough, though. Innovation holds on.
However, Innovation's natural expansion has no SCVs in it. Burrow Roaches are going up into the main. SERRAL's not done yet. Innovation needs to hang on or he's going to get knocked out of game one.
Beautiful usage of tunneling claws here for the Roaches of SERRAL. This is so annoying for the Terran. Have to deal with no turrets, no static detection here for Innovation. He has to scan to get rid of them, and they're split up so nicely. The economy of Terran's going to be hit really hard. Innovation's got to go now, and he's going for a big attack on the map, and it better work.
Okay, the Banelings are about to finish, and I think SERRAL is interested in setting up a finishing blow, but first, he has to take on this push here from Innovation. There are too many Banelings pushing Innovation back towards the north where his third is.
Innovation does not have a late game. He hasn't got a prayer of turning this into a macro game. And it looks like SERRAL's not even letting him on these creep anymore. He's pressing his issue all the way to third. The Baileys are hitting the SCVs. Bam! Down goes 32 more workers. The CC going to get piled down as well. SERRAL is going to take game one here against Innovation.
Yeah, with no SCVs mining at the natural, too many Banelings and Ravagers continuing to push forward. It's only a matter of time before Innovation has to tap out. GG!
Ready, fight.
In the upper right, in the red, winning game number one. He is
NC Sports, SERRAL.
And the bottom left, his opponent, the Korean Terran in the blue. He is
O-Gaming TV, Innovation.
Gaming fans of the chat, raise your baguettes for Innovation. But if you want to see WCS fight back, Toril in the chat there, SERRAL.
We might finally have the chosen one.
The one.
The prophecy may come true, Maynard.
Maybe.
Korea dominated the world for 20 years.
I want it to be real, Tasteless, but we're only just game one in here. Don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves.
Some of those hieroglyphics we never understood what they meant on the sides.
Those temples that were uncovered by the Quake 1 probes back in the day.
That's right, yes. What did that writing mean? Well, they were talking about 20 years after StarCraft's been out. Maybe one player who's not a Korean will come.
Yeah. 2 decades hence.
That's right.
A Finnish Zerg.
That's right.
Will hit the fields.
On the full moon.
And thus Finland was region locked from StarCraft.
No, this is exciting. But again, he needs to keep delivering.
Yeah, certainly.
And I mean, the Innovation's a great player, but damn, man, I mean, that was pretty crazy. The way that game went, it wasn't just the fact that SERRAL won. It's the way that the game was won. It was a systematic takedown of Innovation in a really impressive way.
Absolutely. There was nothing out of the ordinary there again. It was just a very, very regular Roach Ravager game. He just played it strategically brilliantly. SERRAL's really known for attacking in 2 places at once and just being all over the map, just seemingly being everywhere, while having incredible just macro back at home, never missing injects, never missing creep spread, never taking damage from drops. It's just the guy we know and love. And it's pleasing to see that he's on stage here in Korea and still showing us that he's the same level he's always been.
You know, one thing about SERRAL, having casted him overseas and here in Korea, just getting to know him a little bit better and talk to him, he doesn't strike me as somebody who's phased at all by who his opponent is or what the stakes are.
Yeah, I mean, he comes across that way for sure, but I feel like maybe a little bit of phasing is here because, you know, SERRAL does say it often every now and then. Well, I guess every now and then he just says that he doesn't really like ZvT. It's the matchup that he feels is his weakest. His ZVP probably his best matchup. And we've seen a lot of ZVZs from him in the WCS circuit. There's a lot of really good European Zergs out there. But Terran hasn't really been giving him a hard time because it's not like he's facing Innovation or Maru every day. You know, there's a lot of great Terrans out there in WCS, but are they Innovation? I don't think so.
Okay, well, SERRAL continues to spread the creep out. Ling's speed is almost done. We do have a tech lab on the way here for Innovation, as well as 2 more Hellions. And the starport's about to finish up.
Yeah, it's kind of looking like this sort of very standard attack here from Innovation. Or it was a little bit of a harassment attack where you hit a couple of Hellions into that natural, or maybe the third base while the Liberator hits somewhere else. It almost always gets drone kills. The question is just how much, and is the Zerg on top of his defenses?
So we have Innovation moving out on the map, trying to scout around. SERRAL has some spotters over here to check for instance, drops to come out. Again, we might see Innovation, not open up like exactly the same, but the same concept. He likes to do the double medevacs coming out, trying to do a little bit of damage. But first, we're going to have the Liberator come out, as well as that third CC on the way.
And that's a beautifully timed Overlord here from SERRAL. He sees the Liberator, he sees the Hellions come out, and now he knows exactly what to do. He drops his Spore Crawlers, gets a bunch of Lings out, and he already had Queens in the queue here on that production on the hatchery. So he should, technically on paper here, be able to defend this timing attack from Innovation.
Okay, here come these Hellions right now. SERRAL needs to spread out and make sure his drones are going to be as safe and take as little damage as possible. A lot of this comes down to the angling. Very good grenade there by Innovation, but some of these Hellions are already taken out, and you're always fine as Zerg losing a few Zerglings as long as no drones are killed off.
Well, some drones are going to have to evacuate this mineral line here. One of them goes down to the Liberator, and the Queens had to be pulled back from the third base. So there is going to be a bit more drone damage here at this third. The Innovation Hellions are trying to head into that natural. Not too many Zerglings here from SERRAL. I'm starting to get a little bit worried for him if he gets close to that mineral line.
Yes, but the Zergling spread itself is actually good enough that those Hellion shots aren't efficient. And as the rest of those Hellions were taken away, and I believe that Liberator was shot down, it was only 2 drone kills. So overall, a failed guerrilla tactic here by Innovation.
It certainly cost Innovation a lot more than it cost SERRAL to defend it. That's for damn true there, Tasteless. We got that 1-1 upgrades coming up for both players around about the same time. SERRAL heading to lair in a pretty timely fashion on the back of about a 50 drone economy. It's all pretty regular stuff. Now the question for me is, SERRAL, is he going to go to the Ling Bane Muta composition, or are we going to see a Hydralisk Den?
Oh, that's a good point.
Change things up. I feel like mutas are coming back in fashion a little bit these days. There's a few areas on these maps that have been in the current map pool, a few areas that have been very deadly for Terran marine tank pushes, which we know Innovation loves. The mutas kind of negate that terrain advantage because they can fly over them, obviously. But they are a little bit weak. They're a bit of a glass cannon.
Yeah, that's a very good way to put it. Well, they definitely have a time and a place in certain games, right? You can completely throw a player off. They have to start defending against that. And a lot of times then you can try to segue attack into something else from there. So we have SERRAL taking his 4th base, Innovation taking the 3rd base. We've had no real push from Innovation. We've had Innovation try to run in and get some kills on workers, but that didn't work. And I've mentioned this before in other tournaments, but SERRAL's kind of one of those players where after a point in time, you're not allowed to leave your base anymore, and then you eventually die. You know, the best Zerg players in the world are like that.
Yeah, certainly.
So a lot will come down to this first actual push from Innovation. He needs to try to make this work because SERRAL is continuing to grow at a pretty scary rate.
He's pre-morphing some Banelings here. It's not too many, and he won't have Baneling speed initially. But Innovation will have to engage on creep if he wants to get to the economy of SERRAL or trade well with his army. So he's stimming on in, clearing up some of those creep tubers on the way in here. And SERRAL is just going to wait for those Lings, bring those Banelings in, and hopefully hold without taking too much damage.
Okay, upgrades are about to finish on all sides here, but SERRAL has enough to just drive out that army. And so far, Innovation is not able to just get on the ground and start taking out this creep. And if Terran's in the air for too long, the Zerg will just continue to grow. But right now, it's going to be tough for him.
So Innovation is going to be able to do this 2-2 timing push with the tanks that he had been having so much success with against Rogue. And he hasn't been taking any damage in the early stages of the game either. So potentially this push could actually do a ton of damage. Speaking of damage, getting an Overlord there, supply blocking SERRAL and getting a bunch of creep on the high ground.
Okay.
Nice use of these Marines for Innovation.
He's coming down now. 2 Queens are taken out. That was a very good play by Innovation.
Definitely.
He did lose some Marines, but this is the idea of what he needs to be doing here. The question is, can he rinse and repeat? Because the creep is still spreading out pretty fast here for SERRAL.
He's replenishing those creep tumors every time one of them goes down for take its place. There's just plenty of creep spread still active here for SERRAL. And Innovation is beginning to reinforce these drops as well, loading up more and more medevacs back at home. That might have actually been a misclick, I'm not too sure there, but he has one loaded medevac here with a bunch of tanks.
Yeah.
And usually he pushes about 5 or 6 tanks and a bunch of 2-2 Marines and throwing in Marauders as well. SERRAL is going to have Hydras, he's going to have Lings, and he's going to have Banes. And he's going to have to try and keep Innovation away from these deadly siege tank locations. Looks like SERRAL's setting up a run-by on the north-end side as well.
Okay. Marines continuing to move around the map now. Another Queen. Oh my god, the Queen is not taken out, excuse me. I was confident that was going to be killed there, but SERRAL manages to drive him away. Now, with more and more medevacs out, there's more locations that Innovation can hit. It's going to be heavier on the multitasking and the juggling, but this is where it can get tricky here for Zerg. Now, Zerg is almost to the maxed out point here.
Almost.
Yeah, so this is also getting pretty scary, and the tech is really starting to finish up, to top off here for SERRAL as well.
Innovation is doing a really good job of dealing with these creep treatments here at SERRAL. He's one of the hardest players in the whole world to slow the creep down on, but Innovation is definitely getting the job done there. But the run by of SERRAL looks like it's setting up for a bust through that natural. He has a bunch of banelings. The Lings are leading the charge. Innovation needs to get that wall up, but he won't get an opportunity. SERRAL's getting in those banes. The natural is open, and the Lings are getting broken off to the third as well.
Okay, there's nothing here to defend this third base. SCVs are being pulled. This is slowing Innovation down hugely. And you can see with so little, SERRAL actually does so much. And now let's see if Innovation can try to balance this out. We see a drop coming in here, but with the Spore and the Lings, the Hydra, that's such a deterrent. He's going to have to try to find another location. You know, I got to point this out because it's subtle, but it's so good.
Ooh.
He makes sure that it looks like there's nothing to defend, so he lets the drop happen, and then he comes in and actually takes it out. So Innovation's not able to do really anything.
Here's the timing, but SERRAL's setting up a flank, coming in from the back end. He's going to need a lot more than that on the left-hand side, though. More Lings to deal with these tanks of Innovation. The Marines aren't the biggest issue, but here comes SERRAL, collapsing it from both sides. The Banelings, still plenty of them left over. Oh my God, he crushes this attack. He made that look easy.
That was insane. He completely wiped out all of the tanks there. Innovation has basically been reset as far as opportunities to push here. It should be easy for SERRAL to expand again. And, you know, like we were saying, it's those initial few pushes we need to watch for and see how much damage is left over. And there were plenty of Banelings left over by the time that attack was done.
Yeah.
Just to put emphasis on how strong that was. Innovation going to try to push yet again. This army is smaller. It's going to be tough for him to take on SERRAL at any point in time, I think, from here on out.
And Innovation has to rely on these tanks still. They are his big splash damage unit, but SERRAL is going to start having Viper's Tasteless, which means blinding clouds, abducts, whatever he wants to go for. They are the anti-tank countermeasure, and they are on the way. They just need to get juiced up, get some consummation there for the energy, and then they can just get those blinding clouds down, and then the Lings, Banes, and Hydras potentially going to do the rest. Innovation coming back again. His third hatchery in a little bit of trouble here. It's taking some damage. Siege tank's in a good spot as well.
Okay, seems like SERRAL was a bit caught off guard by this. He is going to do a small counterattack, but let's see how many of these SCVs can actually get out. Meanwhile, this hatchery taking a lot of damage. Is SERRAL going to save it in time? He needs to set up a proper flank.
Well, he is setting one up here, and Innovation knows it. Catching some of those reinforcements with the Ling, Banes, and Hydras here on the high ground, but there's not too much creep for him here anymore. Innovation's been scanning and taking it out. Losing 8 SCVs back at home, still has to clean it up, but this hatchery's going to go down. It was researching Burrow as well, so he misses out not only on Burrow, but losing that hatchery, big hit to the economy of SERRAL.
Okay, now SERRAL is going to try to expand up here to the top, but I'm getting worried. It seemed like SERRAL was caught off guard by that push that came out from Innovation, perhaps expecting Innovation to play a little bit more defensive. A nice counterattack over here with these Lings taking this out. That's going to help, but eventually it's going to come down to how will SERRAL handle this push that's still over in the Zerg's territory.
Blinding clouds is the answer, Tasteless. Those tanks get blinded and destroyed. The Banelings are looking for those Marines, and Innovation still with enough here. Enough of his Marines are off creep, and the Banelings do not connect. So he gets rid of those tanks, but the bio is still a threat. Innovation up, about 20 army supply here, and still a big looming threat here for SERRAL, who really doesn't have a whole lot of tier 3. He's been relying very heavily here on the Vipers to be his defense with just lots of Ling, Bane, Hydra. Baneling's getting caught here on the outside as well. Looks like SERRAL wanted to run into the mineral line, but Innovation, he's all over it.
That's right. Innovation, by the way, does not have a fourth base here. So, I mean, this is getting problematic. SERRAL's continuing to grow. Even if he loses a base somewhere, he makes up for that by expanding somewhere else. But Innovation needs to either continue to get more bases himself or end the game. SERRAL simply needs to hang on and keep stopping the pushes.
Certainly, and it looks like both players sort of passing each other here to the north-hand side. SERRAL coming down with a lot of his army. Medevac's a little bit exposed here. Oh, it feels like SERRAL doesn't have a whole lot. This run-by is pretty tasty, though. He's going to surround the tank, take out a tank and a bunch of Marines here with these Lings. He could potentially break through and do even more than that. Oh, no, a reinforcement here. A lot of Marine production for Innovation. He's going to clean up these Lings, no problem.
Okay, another push coming from Innovation, this time in the north. His spread looks pretty good. We're going to find out if SERRAL has enough. Meanwhile, some Banelings coming down here. Unable to take out those SCVs. And now let's see how this attack goes.
Grabs that first tank here. Blinding clouds on the bite to make starter stepping a little bit difficult. He's off creep, though. Can Innovation stop these Banelings from connecting with these Marines? He's trying, but I don't know. He might have to lift up.
Wow, losing a lot there on the ground. He picks up, but where is he supposed to go with this? Even some of these Hydras now doing damage to these medevacs.
Losing these medevacs really does suck. The medevacs keep the longevity of this bio. At least you keep the pressure up with your bio reinforcements, so you really can't lose these medevacs. Innovation still has 11 on the field, though. That's plenty, and he is heading towards dealing with Tier 3. Getting those Tier 3 countermeasures, getting Liberators out now, which are going to strengthen these siege positions of the Terran as he continues to try and make this work up here to the north.
Okay, a scan over here. Hydras and Banes are being made. Innovation needs to make this work. There's another counterattack coming in, but we need to focus on this attack first. Liberator zones are very well set up. Almost every single Ling is being turned into a Baneling in that attack.
Wow.
There's nothing here to defend, though. He's going to take out these depots and possibly a lot of these SCVs.
I think a lot of SCVs are going to go down here, Tasteless, if Innovation doesn't respond immediately. And he does do a really good job of responding, but SERRAL, he looks like he might have enough here on the north-hand side as well. The Banelings are rolling on in. Innovation pulling back, but losing a lot of his reads to the Banelings. The Banelings are connecting with Innovation's army very nicely here. There's not enough from Innovation to continue this push at all.
That's it, GG!
Ready, fight.
In the bottom right, in the red with a 2-0 lead from Finland, he is.
NC Sports, SERRAL.
On match point.
Look at that deadly, deadly, deadly nerd.
Speaking of deadly nerds, in the top left here against the ropes, this is...
O Gaming TV, Innovation.
Also deadly, 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 deadly.
Yeah, he's a poisonous nerd.
Yeah. They're both deadly. It's like different fonts.
That's right.
Of deadly, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Ooh,
man. I mean, the way that these games have looked is so impressive from SERRAL. I've never seen a Zerg that is that coordinated at taking out a push. Like, he is so surgically precise with all the abilities he throws out, with how the Banelings connect, with where the Hydras move in. It's perfect. He has the exact right amount of Zerglings when he counterattacks. It's enough that it will win the fight, and Terran has to decide, am I really pushing, or am I going to go back and defend?
I think Surgical is the perfect description of a really, really good StarCraft player that does have the abilities all around. Bunch of Finnish fans there in the crowd as well. Met some of them yesterday. Really, really packed out crowd here in the studio. No surprises either. It's a pretty hype tournament.
So insane. Innovation looked unstoppable. Actually, I'm sorry, he was unstoppable last GSL versus the world.
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
4-0 in the finals.
And, I mean, the way he won was so insane. And here he is right now. He's down 0-2 to SERRAL.
Well, I mean, he is still, of course, this is Innovation we're talking about. Like, yes, we are very excited about how well SERRAL is doing in the series, but we cannot count out Innovation. He is always a threat. If this goes to Game 5, I would not be surprised in the slightest. Innovation is so damn good. Now, oh, looks like someone downloaded a little bit of Innovation's code there.
That's right.
Well, I think Innovation's actually on a Git repo somewhere out there on the internet that you can actually download a branch
That's right,
off.
yeah. I'm just worried they're going to be able to 3D print Innovation soon,
Yeah,
man.
I mean, if he's open source, then there's going to be innovations everywhere, and all of a sudden the ladder's ruined.
No, seriously, look, I think Innovation is someone who's definitely able to make these micro adjustments in his play to compensate for this. But, you know, usually there's like, it's a balancing act for Zerg, right? Do you have enough workers while still having enough of an army that you can fight, right? Sometimes people overmake one, and then, you know, that imbalance goes there. What's weird about watching SERRAL is he seems to be winning in both directions. Economically, he's getting further and further ahead in this way. But then when the fights come, he has exactly the right types of units and the right number of them.
And seems he's going pull first here, and he is starting to do a fair bit of damage. This is just vintage SERRAL. Using that pull first to find the chinks in the armor here of the Terran. He gets that Reaper, and no Reaper means no Scouterino for Innovation, not until these Hellions come out.
So SERRAL's going to go ahead and pull back now for the time being. Someone who's very reliant on counterattacks, by the way, is SERRAL. And it's funny, too, because I think with almost all other Zergs we see, the Lings eventually die, and we're like, okay, that was nice. The moment he thinks it's not going to work out, even if it's just one Ling, he'll run back away. He wants to get as much value as possible out of each of those.
It's kind of the threat of pull first here, is that is the Terran, especially after you lose your Reaper. Like, is there another 30 Lings coming at me? I just don't know. Like, you have to kind of hang back a little bit with a few units. You can't commit all of them across the map you'd like to. Well, like he did on Lost and Found, the last map. He got his Hellions right up to the National of SERRAL. And it looks like he's going to try and go for Hellbats here with the Liberator on the back end. And this is a very, very scary attack that the Terran could potentially pull off here.
That's right. We have them more Hellions on the way. You can see that Innovation's trying to basically clean up any other Zerglings that are on the map. You want, when you do a drop or a push or anything like that, for the Zerg to find out at the last second, ideally when the drop actually happens, because then you don't have time to respond. Now, Innovation did not have success with his Hellions in the past trying to kill drones. Let's see if this works out this time.
Medevac Hellions are so powerful here. Serral's Overlord giving him a little bit of warning here. The drone's being poured into that natural. Innovation looking to hit that line of drones, but Serral deflects with enough lings here. Loses maybe one ling and a little bit of mining time, but not the end of the world. Also, he had that Roach Warren, so he's making Roaches right now, and they're going to be very good against these Hellbats. Serral seems to be dotting his I's and lowercase j's and crossing his T's here.
Yeah, he really is. Again, it's all going to be about whether or not he can actually hold when that inevitable attack does come. But Roaches are always handy in the early game for this exact reason. I mean, they're very beefy units. As long as you're on creep, they're pretty fast. Here comes a drop again. Now, Serral seems to have the exact right number of Roaches that there's no reason to stay in that location. And he's so good with his drone pulls.
Yeah, the Hellbats are here, and the Roaches, I mean, the Lings are getting barbecued here, easy peasy, but the Roaches are going to be a little bit more of an issue here for these Hellbats. Serral microing his hurt Roaches back a little bit. Even the Queen's coming down to help out their babies, and these Hellbats will be dealt with.
Okay.
But as a result, he does get 5 drone kills, and the Innovation's got a pretty healthy-looking SCV count back at home.
Okay, that was the first time we saw Innovation really succeed with something like that. It seemed like Serral wasn't quite quick enough to pull some of those drones away or to pull the Roaches on top. As long as you don't lose drones, you're okay, but Innovation did poke some holes in him. He has slowed him down a little bit.
Oh, wow. Serral is making a lot of units here. He still has lots of Roaches left over Tasteless, and he has Drop Lord tech. So it looks like, while Innovation's trying to deal with an attack on the ground, there's going to be one in the sky. He's loaded up the Queens.
Well, here's it's so crazy because you're going to see him try to switch into infantry after the Hellbats come in. So there is this moment of vulnerability, and I think Serral's about to exploit that.
It certainly looks like it. There's only one tank to deal with here, and the bunker is going to be a big problem. But here come those Ravager piles, and down goes the bunker. That's a great start here for Serral.
And I think with this drop Overlord coming in here, the depots are getting lower. This is going to be problematic here for Innovation. The Queens come down as well.
The Queens are here for transfusions, and if the flood doors open, those Lings are going to get on that tank, and it's going to be lights out for Innovation. GG! Serral!